this particular $2.25 billion bond. Very controversial. It forced the finance minister into the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana when he was grieving, but that did not end the matter. Indeed, it actually made a lot of controversy in the days that has been, just because we're told the single biggest might be the single most problematic bond we've had. That is according to the minority. If you've heard former Deputy Finance Minister, who was my guest, the indication is that all the information they wanted from him, they didn't get it. Indeed, it only opened doors to a more gargantuan, serious issue, or if you like, fraud, that may be hitting the nation anytime soon. Well, we'll be delving into that with the chairman of the Finance Committee of Parliament, as his ranking member, has leveled a lot of issues that ought to be responded to. My name is Raymond Akwa. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back. This is the UPfront. My guest today is Dr. Marcus Ibeyebo. He's a member of Parliament and also the chairman of the Finance Committee. He's worked at the Bank of Ghana before, so would understand these guidelines. That's also creating a lot of storm in this particular conversation. He has a lot of experience in finance too. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
First and foremost, the Finance Minister was dragged to the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana to do specific things. The crux of it is to talk about the issuance, the participation, and also the utilization of the $2.25 billion bond. Did he deliver exactly these things?
Yeah. In addition to what you just listed, he was supposed to provide a documentation.
Full documentation.
That covered the bond, and then also tell us the currency of issuance. Now, the actual bond size was 9.7 billion Ghana cedis. It was a CD bond.
And it's interesting you quote it in cedis.
Yes, it was a CD bond.
But up till now, we've been talking about $2.25 billion.
Yes, because in dollars it's 2.25, but it's 9.7 billion Ghana cedis. That was the size of the bond. And so when he came to the House, upon a motion filed by the minority leader, Honorable Haruna Drusu, that sought to get the full documentation that accompanied the bond, the utilization, the participants, the denomination of the issue. And I think he did justice to the matter. All of the information required he provided. He spoke to the utilization, the issuance, the participants, and also the denomination of issue, which is the Ghana cedi.
Let's start with the issuance. There were concerns raised about exactly the period for issuing this particular...
The date a bond is settled,
yeah,
that is the date of issuance. And I think I mentioned it on the floor.
How different is that from the date of closure?
You see, in the book Building Approach,
yeah,
you are talking to potential investors. Okay, so you open and then you
close.
Yes. Now, but the day that they settle, that is actually the deal. So you could be talking for 1 month until they settle. That is not the date of issuance. So the date of issuance is the date of settlement.
And this is standard practice.
Standard.
Was it used in the 5-year bond that was done in November?
In all issues, when you settle, that is actually recorded as the date of issuance, so that, mind you, if there's a 5-year bond, you redeem it after 5 years.
Yeah.
So after 5 years, you are paying the investor back their money. So the day that they settle should be the day of issuance. So if it's 3rd April, then 3rd April 2022, that is when I'm paying back your money to you.
Not the 31st.
Yes. So it couldn't have been the date of closure or the date of opening. The date of settlement is the date of issuance.
And you think this is settled the matter on the problem with the issuance?
Because the person who bought the bond knows that the date of issuance is 3rd April. That is when he will come back. If it's a 15-year, 7-year bond, come back for his money.
But the communication to these what they call investors stipulated that the closing date was actually the 31st, the same day as
the issue was opened on the 30th when they sent messages out.
Okay.
Now, let's get this. There are book runners,
yeah,
who do this on behalf of the government. Now, these book runners, in this case,
we're talking about the SAS, Barclays, and Stanbic in this case. Yeah.
Okay. Now, they were chosen in 2015 to be book runners. Minister Kenofriata cannot change them. We have a 3-year contract with them. So they are going to be book runners for the
But they're acting for on behalf of government, in this case, the Ministry of Finance.
Yes.
So they are still under the control of this ministry.
Listen, they were chosen and they have a contract for 3 years. Who chose them? It was John Mohammed's Minister of Finance, Tekpe, who chose these book runners. Okay? Now, in this book building approach, the government does not deal with the investor. You don't know the potential investor. It's these book runners, Barclays, Stanbic, SAS, who deal with the investors directly and report back to you. So if you understand how these things work, there is no way I can cook, as it were, a deal for anyone because I'm not involved. Now, Barclays is an international foreign bank, as you know.
Yeah.
Stanbic is headed by Alasa Andani.
Yeah.
SAS is for Toby Afede.
The point is?
The point is that these are not people that ordinarily you can have deals with. These are respected people and they know how they do their jobs. Okay, so are they going to cook a deal for anybody? It doesn't happen that way. And these institutions that participate in our bond, these are renowned international institutions that are not going to do shady deals. They know the consequences.
Using a book building approach, have you ever had a 95% subscription by a single investor?
You see, we make the point that local investors do not have an appetite for short tenor bonds. As a matter of fact, in November 2016, November 2016, using the book building approach, a bond was issued. Foreign participation was 90%. It was
95.
It was a 10-year bond.
Was that single, what they call it, investor?
Let me make the point. It was a 10-year bond and it was 90%. It had 90% foreign participation. That's why I drew to the point that the longer the tenure, okay, then the level of foreign participation increases. So for the 15-year now, then you would expect that the level of foreign participation will go beyond the 90%. Now, if you did 90% when you issued a 10-year bond, and if foreign participants have an appetite for long tenure bonds, and now you are doing a 15-year, certainly I expect the participation. Now, in this present issue, we also did a 7-year.
Yeah.
You know the foreign participation, that 80%. So 7-year foreign participation, 80%. In April 2017, in November 2016, a 10-year foreign participation, 90%. A 15-year, 95%.
Let me get this clarified. I was asking specifically, just like Franklin Templeton took the 95%, have we seen that happen with any of our bonds since the book building approach was introduced?
Yeah, let me tell you, until the last issue, the biggest subscriber to our bonds, the biggest firm that carried most of our bonds was ABSA, followed by Franklin Templeton. It was just following this last issue that Franklin Templeton has overtaken.
I'm still waiting for the answer to whether or not we've had 95% go to.
We've had 90%. I've talked to you about
a single one.
But have you confirmed that? Have you confirmed that Franklin Templeton did 95? There were so many. There were 25 other foreign investors in this issue. 25 other ones.
Which you have not told us because that's another issue.
Because we don't disclose this information. My friend, this is serious business. I come to buy your bond and tomorrow morning I come to the Parliament of Ghana and list Honorable Haruna Idisu bought 300,000 worth of the bonds. This firm bought
even for state. That's actually
we don't do that.
And you as a member of parliament, you think it's wrong?
No, nobody does that anywhere. You are dealing with markets. If we could get that kind of money here in Ghana, we wouldn't be inviting foreigners to participate in it. Nobody does that. People invest through all sorts of trusts and the rest, and now you're going to disclose who is holding a bond. Now, in any event, Franklin Templeton has been here ever since 2016, 2015. All our Eurobonds, they are participating. And so all of a sudden, there's a change of government, and then they think that they have confidence in the new team and they want to subscribe to more of the bonds. What's wrong with that? We are not done with the bonds. This is only 2.25.
Certainly.
In 2017, we are going to issue bonds to the extent of 22 billion. If they want to buy more, so be it. This is just 9.7, and they didn't take all of the 9.7. 9.7 was the first issue under the MPP. For this year, we want to do 22 billion in total. So this is much ado about nothing.
Let me also clarify this particular point. And when you say much ado about nothing, are you not worried that the issues before the US SEC, the issues before the strategy of the Republic of Ghana,
please,
they are threatening to go to court too?
I have gone to court. I know what it entails going to court, okay?
And you withdrew that case against the ADB, yes.
Yeah, so you remember what do you call it? Esiedun Ketia said, any idiot could go to court. Yeah, so going to court is, nobody is scared. The transparency here. Now, people talk about Franklin Templeton, they are mentioning names that, oh.
The relational, what they call it, engagement.
Are you surprised? Now, the Deputy Minister for Finance, Charles Edubwain, went to Harvard Business School. The Minister of Finance went to Columbia and Yale Business School. If you go to Yale Business School and Harvard Business School, of certainty, you would have friends at Franklin Templeton and Goldman Sachs and Merrill Lynch and JP Morgan. Of course, if you went to, what do you call it, Bremer Sikuma early, then you also have friends working at the Municipal Assembly there or the Rural Bank over there.
Your point in this case is
My point is that there's nothing wrong with having somebody, a friend of yours, working at Franklin Templeton. Franklin Templeton said, I have interviewed with Franklin Templeton before. I wanted to work with them when I finished my PhD. It's a big firm. At the time, was I going to work with them because of what, some relational interest or not? They hold a portfolio of over 200 billion. They have money to spend. So their investment portfolio is about $200 billion, and they buy 2.25. This is nickels and dimes for them.
Okay, so let me understand also the point you create in this case. You don't, because they believe that it was a bad deal. The minority.
What makes it bad? Is it the yield? What makes it bad?
They actually, we come to the yield.
We are going to do more. Thing. So if you want to take some of the bond, everybody is invited.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But let me get this
part. The minority bring in some foreigners who are going to subscribe to 3 billion at a lower yield. Let us know. Are they bringing, say, a firm owned by whoever, and they are going to subscribe to $3 billion of our bond at 16%?
They say because of the short period you opened up to the investors.
Do you know the consequences of that? By doing
consequence of the short period?
By doing this deal, there's nothing like short in this. As the Bank of Ghana that announces all of this, we have book runners. These things happen, and when they are settled, that is the issuance. I told you about it. The calendar was issued 30th March. Just like Setepe issued a calendar on 5th of January for the first quarter. By the end of June, they will issue another calendar for the third quarter. They will do another issuance. So these things will happen and happen over and over again. Do you know what we call in local parlance skimping? Do you know skimping?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so why didn't these people do the deal under our regime?
So you think that's what's happening?
Yeah, that is what we call. There's nothing fishy. You can take it, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. You can go to SHRAD, to the Supreme Court, wherever you want to go. I can bet that there will be nothing ill-found about it. The procedures, what is required of the Bank of Ghana, the book runners, all the bond participants is clean. And this is not going to be the end. Rather, what I see is that we want to muddy the water so that in future, investors would not want to come into this environment, and that's not good for us.
Is it a good deal?
Very, very good deal. 19.75 for the long tenure. It stretches from 18.7. We did a 5-year, 7-year, 10-year, and a 15-year. The yields were very good.
My basic finance explains to me that when you do 19.75, when currently you know that you could have just done a rollover of the 91 and 182
Your
days.
finance is weak. The rollover is not the choice of the government. I hold the bond. I buy a bond at 24%. Now, if the rates come down to 12%, do you think I'm going to roll it over? I won't roll it over. It's my decision. You have to compare the rate to what would have pertained if the 3-year-old bond or 5-year bond was being rolled over. You shouldn't compare it to the 91 day. I also buy treasury bills. If I buy a treasury bill 91 day and by the time it matures, now the rate is 12%. You think I'll roll? I will go and buy a 1-year bond now.
You perceive the rollover
buying
risk
a 91. Listen.
Yes, the rollover risk is certainly.
No, I'm saying that the rollover is not an automatic thing.
Yeah.
I have bought a bond, it has matured. I can go collect my money. Otherwise, I say roll it over for me. That's what pertains. Yes. Now, if the rates come down, to 12% as it is now, I will not buy a 91 day. I will go and say that now, if the 1 year is selling at around 21%, why should I buy the 91?
And all the over 50,000 investors at 91 would actually do so?
It is not government. You can't force government to roll a bond over. Don't you understand?
I get you. But
yeah, so that comparison that you do that, if they had done a rollover, it would have sold at 12%. Now, did we roll over there? Did we give these ones a 91 day selling at 19.75? We are doing 50. That's what you have to compare. The average rates that pertain were around 21, 22%. So the 19.75 for long tenor bonds in this circumstance was far better. Far better, because they
and
were
you're not incurring losses.
For this year.
Yeah.
We would have paid interest on domestic bonds to the tune of over 11 billion. By doing this deal this year, we are making a saving of almost 600 million on the interest that would have paid.
Would you not pay that anytime soon?
You have spread this over the period. I'm saying this year. If your mom...
So you just suspended the payment?
If your mom is sick right now and you had money in the bank, wouldn't you go for that money and solve your problems now today? Or you are saying you are saving that money in the bank for the future. So today, people need water, people need roads, people need electricity. We are making a saving of 600 million Ghana cedis by issuing this bond.
The understanding we get from this is that first, when the finance minister said he was going to shore up forex reserves, what they call foreign reserves at the Bank of Ghana, the indication then was that it was to be denominated in dollars. But the city then created an impression of how you're going to do that.
You have been listening to them a lot. You have been listening. I saw the argument being made by Harry Idris, and you've also bought into it. My brother, this is not like the World Cup in Brazil where we took $4 million on the plane and went to give to the players. It doesn't work that way. When Franklin Templeton are going to buy CD-denominated bonds, they are in America. They don't have CDs. Of essence, they will buy the bond with dollars. But the bond is denominated in CD. You can't come bring your dollars here. So what they do is that they will supply their dollars to the Bank of Ghana. Not here. The Bank of Ghana has accounts at Federal Reserve. They have accounts at HSBC, Citibank. So they will just write a check, credit the account of Bank of Ghana at HSBC or Federal Reserve or Bank of England, credit that account. But that 2.25 billion is not coming to Ghana. They will credit the accounts of Bank of Ghana. Bank of Ghana will now supply the CDs, the CD equivalent to the Ministry of Finance. Okay? So our reserves there has gone up by 2.25 billion. Do you understand?
I get your
so
point.
That 2.25, they say, oh, you say it's a CD-denominated bond, but then our foreign reserves have gone up. That's what happens. So that money has been credited to the accounts of Bank of Ghana, and they have supplied the CDs. Simplicity.
The other point that's also being raised, which is probably where the other concerns are, is that they asked for specific information that were never provided.
Have you seen the documents the minister provided?
The ones that have been shown,
By
actually,
you see,
yes, have been shown documents that's also coming from the finance ministry.
Yeah,
the Deputy Finance Minister Party showed me the kind of documents that they give them.
For you to come and say that, provide the documentation.
Full documentation.
List the documents that you want to see which have not been supplied. Tell us.
They say they want to see a prospectus which was not supplied.
But you know what a prospectus is?
Certainly.
The prospectus is just giving a profile of the country, the exchange rate. Do you know prospectus, really? That one you can just, all the information contained in the prospectus, I know, they know. It
was it supplied?
Listen, this is not information. In Parliament, you cannot ask for a document which is publicly available. It is in our standing orders. So it's like telling me you didn't bring a copy of the Constitution. Because the Constitution guided what we did, or you didn't bring the Public Financial Management Act. It guided the process. Prospectus. So prospectus. When you go to the meet investors, then you give them a prospectus. It gives you a profile of Ghana, a population of this interest rate, this is the debt that we carry, this is the exchange rate. That is what the prospectus carries. Just giving us information that you and I here know. But you are going to meet investors who do not have that information readily, so you supply that information. What is a prospectus that they are talking about as if that's something concealed from...
Was the original agreement supplied to?
Which agreement? This is a bond. This bond. This is not a loan agreement. Which agreement? Listen, there's no such agreement that, okay, these are several participants coming to purchase. What agreement that, okay, signed here? There's no such agreement. There is no such agreement. If there is any interactions will be between the book runners and the investors. So there's no such agreement that, and you see, that's why I would urge them to go to court, because when you go to court, then the court, you tell the court, I need this document. Then they will force them. Then they will come and tell the court that there's no such agreement.
So when the finance minister said that he would supply any other documents or information they want...
Because if you say bring full documentation, it is vague. Like the prospectus you are talking about. The finance minister didn't find it necessary to bring the prospectus here if they are now demanding it.
So you're welcome back. We're actually in this conversation in the Parliament House with the chairman of the Finance Committee, who was very vociferous on the floor about, and of course, defending this particular 2.25, or if you like, 9.5 billion cedi bond, which has generated a lot of controversy. We're on the scheme as to what exactly this money will be used for. The part, especially, to do the 6 billion that wasn't clear in the minds of many. You explained to us that it's going to go into the debt, what do you call it?
It's sitting in the debt restructuring account. There's a debt that, following the passage of a PFM. Yeah, you have the sinking.
It's different from the sinking fund.
Yeah, it's different from the sinking fund. You know, the sinking fund ordinarily, some of our oil revenues flow into it. Look at when there's a cap.
Excess of the stabilization fund.
Yeah. So some of it is going to sit in the debt restructuring account. Like I indicated, it will be used to retire maturing.
All of it?
I don't think so. Mind you, 1.1 billion has
80% of it?
I can't tell that. That's why we have a finance minister. This is his job. Okay, I cannot be sitting in Parliament.
And mostly, I want to think that the chairman of the Finance Committee is a very powerful person, the one who actually gets all the information from government, because he actually...
I spoke to the finance minister this morning. Okay,
you spoke to him about this?
No. Because I don't see any hue and cry about this bond issue.
There's a thinking that we didn't really know what we were going to do with that money.
No, we know. But these bonds, mind you, the short-dated treasuries.
We service the interest.
No, they mature week after week. After week, if they have not matured, why are you going to say that they come for your money? People have bought 91 day. Some bought 3rd week of January, 4th week of January, 1st week of February. Do you understand? So as and when they mature, that's when you are going to retire them. So the money,
whether all of it is going to be used to pay that.
Already 1.1 has gone into the budget.
Interesting.
So all of it didn't go into reprofiling our debt. All of it didn't go into it. This has been programmed in the budget. Now in the budget, there's a deficit which has to be financed. Okay, and financing the deficit, some of it goes into paying interest on our debt. Some of it goes into critical sectors of the economy. And so the finance minister will juggle around with these monies.
The debt reprofiling, the arrangements surrounding this particular bond, the discussion that presupposes that we are not borrowing more, we are just actually doing wise engagements to make sure that we don't increase the debt, but necessarily we do it properly. To those who have not really grasped that particular issue, insisting that when you're going to be paying interest, even regardless of the period, you're still going to, it indicates you are borrowing more. What's the explanation for that?
It's debt neutral in the sense that the gross debt has gone up. The gross.
Not the net.
But yeah, on net, once you are retiring some and extending the maturity profile, it stays the same. Okay, so on the face of it, you have borrowed 6 billion. 6 billion is sitting in your debt restructuring account. You haven't as yet restructured the debt.
Yeah.
So your gross,
you have 6 billion more.
Yeah, your gross debt goes up. As and when you reprofile these, you restructure, you retire, then it becomes debt neutral. So on net, it's not increasing the debt. But this idea that government is not going to borrow money, we have to shelve it. Nowhere has government said it's not going to borrow money. You have left us with a debt of 122 billion Ghana cedis.
Which is turning to 127 billion.
Yeah, because if even the government folded its arms, the 122 was going to grow because of interest on these ones. Yes. Okay, so
but 5 billion more within this short period.
It is not the period. It has exchange rate implications. I think you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So mind you, we went through a period when the exchange rate situation deteriorated. We went
beginning of the year.
Yeah. And so now that we are coming back, of course, there will be exchange rate gains on the debt too. Okay, there's a foreign component of the debt and a domestic. Yeah. So you have to understand some of these things. And 122 is big. So if you have 122 and your exchange rate on it, if even there's a 10 peso change, you can imagine. Yeah.
Is the reprofiling government's main restructuring strategy?
Amongst others.
The others being?
Prudent management. You know, we have seen loans that have come to this house that were not needed. We took VTB loan, 300 million. VTB.
You were in this house?
Yeah, we opposed it, we walked out. Okay, we have taken loans for a number of things. I don't want to go over them, which are unnecessary. So
Parliament has a history of sometimes taking loans that it doesn't really know much
Yeah,
about.
the executive-
And
the
the query mostly is about the Parliament not doing due diligence.
No, it's not about due diligence. I have opposed so many loans, our committee, and I've heard a refrain, well, wait, when your government comes, then you do it better. Once the government brings a loan here from the president, and like John Mahama, executive approver, then they will come, use their numbers, run it through the house. What would you do? You can say, be on the floor and rant all day. It's not going to change anything. So, under this regime, I've seen ministers already complaining that they want to do something at their ministry. The minister says, no, there's a cap on how much we are going to borrow. More so when we are under the fund program, we want to be seen as credible. So the targets set in the fund program, we want to meet. And therein comes discussions of possibly extending the program so that the targets are met before we get out.
Okay, so there's an interesting part to, this conversation. When you say that these loans, some of them come into the Parliament regardless of your stance on that, and still they get passed. The Parliament has seen the IFC and CNTCI loans before. Those were equally not ones that went through proper due diligence.
Did they pass?
They didn't.
There was nothing
Because
like
it ended up being what they call it, a complete failure that it couldn't have passed under any other
so
circumstances.
if it didn't pass, then Parliament did their job at the time. Is that not?
But it also means
I
that
have seen loans pass which shouldn't have passed, but people have used their numbers in the house to push these ones through.
but if they were that bad, you could have gone to court. In the protection of the public
I
interest.
know about going to court.
This your experience.
I have been there.
Yes, of course.
A couple of times.
And I followed your case with the ADB, and I folled the other case. But I saw
Power.
you withdraw the ADB case.
Yeah, because
Some say under external influence.
I think we are getting into other matters that are not on the table now. But we have a caucus. Okay, here. We have a minority caucus at the time, and you don't do some of these things just on your own promptings. Okay, you talk to the group, you talk to the legal people, and where you think that you have to hold fire, you do so. We've lost some cases to
Certainly.
court. Yeah, so sometimes on the advice of those who champion some of these things for us, then you back off. Yeah.
The final question I have for you is to do with
so soon.
your work. Interesting. The final question actually is to do with your work in the House and the specific duties that you have to carry out in this particular case. There's a lot of thinking that the Finance Committee Chair, Abeji has consistently complained about this phenomenon. The Finance Committee Chair, even though it's supposed to play the oversight role, is barely an extension of the sitting government. And to that extent, you only acquiesce to whatever is presented to you, good or bad deal.
No. Our committee is a strong one this time, and we.
Is it because the recomposition brought a few people on board? Because
it's a new committee.
To all I see, the committee has not really changed. I see James Abeji.
It's changed. Abeji is not on the committee. It's on public account. It's no longer on the finance committee. It's changed. On the minority side, only 4 people remain from the last parliament. I think Richard Champon, Masaoud. I have Fifi Kwete on my committee. I have Ato Forsin. I have Gina Paul. They were not on the committee. I have Adongo, new term. I have Yusuf Jaja. I have at least 6 new members on the NDC side who were previously on the committee. On the MPP side, we have Opon Kroma, Fusaini, new members. We have Ajasa and the rest were not on the committee previously. The numbers that stayed would be 4 from here and maybe another 4 from here. 8 of 25. It's a whole new committee.
So we are likely to see this finance committee under your able chairmanship do its diligent work.
So far, so good, because some of these issues that come up, I'm sure you've seen.
Have you rejected any, bill from government because you thought it did not meet the standards?
Tell me if there has been any controversial one that the NDC itself has opposed. So far, there has not been a single referral to the committee for which we brought to the plenary that the NDC has opposed. So it means we are doing a good job. Our committee, there's consensus building, and they come along. I give everyone the opportunity to ask all the questions they have and be convinced that, the spare parts one is coming. The abolishing of the duties on spare parts. Yeah, we hope to take that one by Tuesday. So all the spare parts traders out there, I'm sure latest by the end of next week, the president would have assented to it, and then duties on most spare parts imported will be gone. So government is fulfilling its promises.
If Shraj finds that the finance minister was in a conflict of interest position and that there was insider trading in this particular deal, will you be shocked?
They don't even have the capacity to find that one.
Why?
Insider trading. It's not easy establishing that. How are you going to establish insider trading? The minister and the government did not interact with any of the investors. It is the book builders. So if there was insider trading, then charge Barclays, Stanbic, SAS.
And SAS is what you suggest.
Yeah.
But these people were acting for on behalf of the state. We know that for a fact.
Yeah, but you see, do you think these organizations run...
so it's based on their integrity, not that they cannot do anything different?
I would be surprised. We've engaged them. Mind you, there are a lot of book runners out there. These are the three at the time. We've engaged Citigroup and the rest when we go on our Eurobond issues. And government can do away with you if they think that you are not doing a good job. But that's why we tie them into 3-year contracts, that you are going to be our book runners for the 3 years, transaction advisors. So do this for us.
What will be the impact on the bond if the SEC finds a problem?
They will not find anything.
No, but assuming that that's...
Then we are in the... we are just getting into conjectures and...
But I mean, you can also say for certain that they will not find anything. Because
he who alleges must prove.
But
okay?
that is what they are doing now.
Yeah, so then let them
all
prove.
the possibilities are
Show me
now.
a document which says that Minister Oferiatta emailed this person and said that we are going to do this bond, so subscribe. Show me.
Isn't that what is before the SEC?
Too much speculation. Show me. Show me the evidence. So you have solid evidence. You've bypassed the courts here, Shraj, and you've sent it to SEC. I have seen the complaint that went to Shraj, for which the AG has responded. We're talking of conflict of interest. They couldn't establish anything, and the AG, Godfrey Dame, responded solidly. And I don't think...
It's interesting you say they couldn't establish anything when Shraj is here to go into the details of them. You know, the Shraj has to do preliminary investigations before it establishes the prima facie for subsequent investigations.
Let's see.
You are convinced that it's not done that yet, but still...
My brother, this is not the end of bond issues by this government.
I know.
Wait and see. We are going to do bigger ones. So if you think this 2.25...
With Franklin Templeton's involvement...
If they,
of course, you don't know the participants.
Exactly.
Not coming at the end of the day.
They were here
because
they were here in November 2016.
Yes.
They were here in 2013. They were here in 2007. They were here in 2011. Okay. So if they so decide to come, why should we bar them from participating in our bond? Why?
Is the current discussions, the current what they call it, talk about this particular deal affecting the what they call it, joke?
See, if you look at the credibility of the economic management team, the vice president, the senior minister, the minister for finance, the minister for monetary and evaluation, Professor Jambal for minister for planning. You see, these are credible, solid men with international repute. So I don't see this costing anything. We are on course to issue a $2.4 billion one for the energy sector debt. We have appointed transaction advisors, and we are going full speed ahead. And I think that will be another success.
The bonds will continue.
Yeah. So I don't see anything untoward in what the minister and his team are doing.
And you don't think that the talk will not affect the issuance in the next one?
Of course, investors pay attention to what is happening
and they
here.
Understand the environment.
Yeah, but if they see a motion which is going nowhere,
they can read between the lines.
Yeah, they know how we do our politics here, and they see this element of skimping here that these guys have done a 2.25 billion, 9.7 billion CD issue, single largest one in a day here, and we are going to do more. So I'm not worried at all. I think closure has come to this matter, I'm telling you. But people can't see how to walk away from it after all.
But they said they'll go to court if they get a further documentation.
First, let them show us how we are losing 5 billion. Let them bring a chart and show us how Ghana is losing 5 billion cedis from this. Then we'll start taking them serious. You can't come to the floor of Parliament and quote officials of the Bank of Ghana wrongly. What they haven't said, that this bond was issued in dollars.
Oh, former Deputy Minister said he was using the April yield curve. and showing between the two that when you take this 19.5,
I've explained that one already.
Yeah, so that's the point. He showed something. It's not as if
we are not swapping.
Said it
we are not swapping
like
for like. Okay, we are not taking a 91 day and saying that okay, the 91 day would be rolled over at another rate. That's not what we are doing. You are exchanging a 91, a short tenor debt, for a long tenor one. So don't compare the rate on the long tenor one to the rollover rates that would have pertained if you continued in this. Okay?
I get your point, but that's the point he also made too. We have to run up on this particular note. And many thanks to you for joining us on this conversation. Hope to have more with you, the Honorable Finance Committee Chair, especially when other controversial issues pop up in the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. And we hope to see that you'll be a different chair and not continue like others have done in times past.
You don't like how I've chaired the committee?
I've never stated that clearly on this note. And on that particular note, that's where we tie the nice ribbons on today's edition of the UPfront.